Now, look at it. Fertile soil, sweet water, an open hothouse. Like the Garden of Eden. They had everything. They didn't have to work. They had everything. But here we should learn our lesson, because having everything is not a blessing. On the contrary, if you have everything, you can't enjoy nothing. If you have nothing, you nearly can enjoy everything. Israel is blessed. It has nothing. So we can enjoy a glass of water here. Other people have to drink whiskey, wine to enjoy a drink. We know. We are happy to have a glass of water in the desert. But we have forgotten the lesson, and now we want to have everything in Israel too. The Dead Sea was here during the British Mandate. In 67 it ended here. In 75 it was here, 76, 77. But on the model you see something strange. You see that the Dead Sea has vanished, but only from its Jordanian part, and stayed on its Israeli part. No, you should not accuse the Dead Sea of Zionism. The reason is that we, and not the Dead Sea, have been Zionistic. Because when the Dead Sea was here, and we had a lousy factory, losing money every year, there was a joke in Israel which said that in the Dead Sea, because of the density of the water, nothing can sink except investments made by the Dead Sea Works. But we had a great managing director, a man with vision, a man who didn't care for today, for his pocket, but for the future of the Jewish people in this country. And this man, when the sea was here, looked into the future and saw it won't stay here because we have no water in Israel. We'll have to take the Jordan away from the Dead Sea. This is obvious. But as soon as the Jordan will flow into Israel, the sea will run away from us. And if the sea will reach this point, it could be the end of the state of Israel. Because the only mineral richness this country has is in this sea, nothing else. And so he said, it must be avoided that the Dead Sea will retreat, regress from us. How? By building a dike, 18 miles long. We will connect our installations with the northern deep basin. And when the sea will reach this point, we'll build a pumping station and pump the water from here into here. But remember, when he talked about a dike, about pumping, the sea was here. We didn't need it. But this is exactly the meaning of Zionism. Not to care for today, not to care for an easy life, but to care for the future. And to sacrifice today for the future, for the coming generations. This is the meaning of Zionism. And this man was a great Zionist. And he thought that others are like him. But he was wrong. He went to the Minister of Finance and said, we must start to build a dike as soon as possible because the sea will run away from us. And to build such a dike on dry land will cost 10 times as much as building it in water. And the minister said, a dike? What do you need a dike for? You are on the shore of the Dead Sea and losing money every year. And our managing director, his name was Mordechai Maklev, an ex-general, said, Minister, I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about the coming generations. They won't have the sea. And the minister said, are you crazy? Do you expect me to give you money for the coming generations? I don't have money for this generation. And Maklev said, Minister, remember, a generation which cares only for itself has no coming generations. And the minister said, maybe, but I have no money. And who needs it? You're losing anyhow on everything you produce. And our managing director said, don't worry. There will come a day, and the world will need what we produce from the Dead Sea. And the minister said, he's completely crazy, the man. The world will need what they produce from the Dead Sea. Ridiculous. But he wanted to get rid of him. So he said, just a moment. Now you gave me an idea. You said the world will need what you produce. Okay, let the world give you the money. Turn to the World Bank and tell them what you are going to give them. He was only joking. And then he said with a smile, if they'll believe you, they'll give you money. And McLeod turned to the World Bank and told the people there's something I would like very much you should remember. Because he said, if Israel will exploit what it has in the Dead Sea, it will become not only economically independent, but will become a major power in the world. And the people at the World Bank were laughing. Israel, a major power. They said, Israel is only a major problem. And he said, don't believe me, but check it. So they sent here a committee to check what he claimed, the richness of the Dead Sea. And you know what they found? That he was right. We are a rich country. We are only a stupid people living here. But if we would be clever enough to understand what we have, and that our future is not where we at the moment hope it to be, in your country, in the United States. And what we are doing here in Israel is today trying to imitate you. There's nothing worse we could do than trying to imitate you. Because an imitation will always be worse than the original. And if people can have the original, why should they come to the imitation? But if we will be different, in every way different, then people will have only to choose what kind of life they want. The American life or the Israeli life. But it has to be different, completely different. And the World Bank financed this dike, not because they were in love with Israel. They were never. But they understood that we are going to produce from the Dead Sea exactly what they need for the hungry world. And they said, okay, we'll give you the money, build it. Build up a big industry and buy and sell your products in Africa and Asia. And a couple of years ago, we made again a mistake, because we discovered that selling potash fertilizers from here on the east coast of the United States is cheaper than selling American potash produced on the west coast from the United States on the east coast, because transportation by land is much more expensive than by ships. And so we discovered America. Not Columbus did it, we did it. And we said, now we have a market, a real market. And we made some agreements with farmers, big farmers, organizations of farmers on the East Coast. But then came the breakdown of what happened to agriculture in the rich world, overproduction. And suddenly they said, we don't need your fertilizers. We are producing too much anyhow. And we forgot that where our product is needed is not there, but there. But if you would come today into the facilities of the Dead Sea Works, I would show you the future of Israel. Because there you could see piles of potash bags. And this is no wonder. We are producing more than 2 million tons a year. But if you would come closer to those bags, you would find you can't read what's written on them. Not because it's Hebrew, but because it's Chinese. And there is our future.